So a quick shot of the office once again, and you can see that I cut the grass, and here is the office, and again here is the view. And I thought I would add this. I thought it looked pretty cool. This is the entrance to something that we call the portal. And if aliens exist, I'm expecting the aliens to land their spacecraft beyond this gate that we have. And anyway, this is just a bit of fun. Anyway, on to the video. So yeah, why look for a bank account when you can just set up your own bank? Now, this is actually a real life meeting that I had. I was introduced to a guy that was going through the process of setting up a retail bank, and he and his mates had literally got together and thought to themselves, our high street bank isn't really doing what we want it to do. He wanted a more cooperative, a more a bank for a community, more of a co-op bank. And so he and his mates got together and they decided to set up their own bank. Now, it's a few years ago that this happened, and I haven't checked, but I'm now curious to know what happened to this retail bank. It was intended to be a small bank anyway. Anyway, myself and a lawyer attended this meeting, and literally like lots of meetings that I go to, initially I tried to establish what they want to do, what they've done, and what their strategy is. Anyway, when we met the acting CEO of this retail bank, what they'd done was they'd raised £10 million, and essentially that was the banking license fee. So if you want to set up your own retail bank, the license to operate as a bank, that price tag is £10 million. So they'd actually raised this money, and they'd bought this banking license, and I think then they'd raised, or they were in the process of raising, a further 50 million, which was the cash reserves that they needed on hand to then operate as a normal retail high street bank. And I'm actually trying to remember what the other significant details were, because this guy was very nice, and what would have been different about this bank to the other high street banks that we're familiar with is it was going to be a lot more community focused, and the bank was also going to be centred in Scotland, if I'm right, north of England, Scotland. I think it was going to be in Scotland. And it had a community focus, and they wanted the bank to look and feel and operate on a very community level. So they did want to have branches that were open, and anyone with a bank account, or anyone could walk in there and open a bank account, and their money would be held on deposit, and the bank would make money from those deposits. So that was really the business objective, to bring back local community banking. Anyway, what was rather interesting, you would think to yourself that if someone has got the means and the ambition to create their own bank, you'd imagine that people would be flocking to invest in the bank, and wanting to be connected to it, and and to ride that prosperity and the potential value build potential that a bank would have. But in the meeting, and this was, I think, the first meeting, we may have had another meeting. And the reason that my lawyer friend was there was because he had knowledge in the regulatory aspects of banking, and he was more interested in the investment side. You know, how much money did they want to raise, and then he would take a view on their ability to, you know, repay debt in the future, and how it might be structured, you know, if it was going to be public. And I don't remember if that was one of the key points about this bank. It might have been that they were going to keep it private. So, you know, that's very interesting as well. But anyway, and it's a few years ago now, so I don't remember all the detail as accurately as I might have done if I was, you know, this happened yesterday. But what I do distinctively remember was how I felt after the meeting, and also what the process, the thought process that I had during the meeting. And what was so interesting is when we went over some brief financial information and some projected revenues, and also projected profits that the bank might make. What I found so surprising is that in the meeting with the documents available to me, I wasn't actually convinced that the bank was going to make that much money, if it was going to make any profit at all for the foreseeable trading future. So that would, you know, be a 3-year view. And my lawyer friend, he also had the same feeling, and this came very quickly in the meeting. So, you know, we didn't have to, you know, scrutinise the figures too deeply. You know, the pair of us were sat there thinking, hold on, this bank isn't going to make any money. I think we'd established that it was going to cover its operating cost, and you know, it would be a nice business, but the pair of us couldn't really see, you know, where the big money might come from, how they were going to make money. And you know, so I mean, that would be surprising, wouldn't it? I think to the normal person, if you said to the man in the street, "Hey, I'm going to set up a bank," you know, they'd automatically assume that you were rich and you were going to get richer very quickly. But yeah, our knowledge of our combined knowledge of the banking industry, and in particular, in this case, straightforward retail banking, and their business model being that they were going to reinvest deposits. We were looking at those numbers, and the pair of us thought, you know, this is going to be a hard sell to investors because there's a little bit of risk there, but essentially, this as a business operation, based on the plans that they have for it right now, are not really showing, you know, these wonderful profit margins that, you know, investment banks seem to achieve. And so the pair of us walked away thinking, well, you know, the guy's very likable, what they've done is very good. They own a banking license which is worth £10 million, so that's an awful lot of money tied up in just a license, and they were well on their way to obtaining this £50 million worth of cash that was needed. So I mean, I liked the project. I loved the fact that it was traditional high street banking, and I imagined very quickly that yes, there'd be a great, you know, captive audience out there already. You know, a bank with an office, and you can simply go to that bank and you know, take your cash, deposit it. You have a credit card, a debit card, and have all those normal high street banking features. And in the knowledge that your deposits were going to be reinvested, and that's how the bank could possibly pay you interest, and how your money was secure. So all that seemed to work really well. But as we walked away, our feeling was, you know, great idea, but there's perhaps not enough there for the, you know, the pair of us to go much further. I know that sounds absolutely bizarre, you'd think that there'd be a lot of opportunity there. Yeah, that first or second meeting that we had, we'd come to the conclusion that this was something that we were, it was great to have sight of, and great to have that connection and that next person as a contact, but we weren't able to identify a real opportunity for either of us. Now, I can't imagine that. I imagine I was still very interested in working with these guys because I liked the project. I liked the, what it was, community banking. It sounded really interesting. So I certainly liked it. But I can't remember, what happened. Obviously, I wasn't commissioned to go any further. And I'm casting my memory back now. But the reason for this video is I suppose the irony of it. You'd think such a great idea, would be, welcomed and, would be a very desirable business to be in. But banking, as we know, especially retail banking, is very competitive. It's with very, very low interest rates, well, basically almost zero. It's very hard for them to make money with deposits. And I don't know enough about the banking industry to speculate further. But just on the simple facts of it, retail banking I know is a hard space to be in, and of course online retail banking has seen a lot of growth in that area. But the players in the area are finding it hard. Profits are not easily come by today. You have to obtain profits from fees and from selling financial products. No longer, it seems, that a retail bank, taking deposits, loaning those deposits out to public loans. It appears that the profits aren't there. So banking has changed. This is a case point really to discuss other topics like the future of money, and I've mentioned money in a few of my other videos, and it's a theme that we're going to come back to. And also I'm hoping to interview somebody soon that speaks regularly about finance and financial products, and this guy knows an awful lot more than I do, and I'm hoping to speak with him soon, and hopefully I'll get him on camera, and that's going to be very interesting. So yeah, today's video is a little bit of my work experience and an ironic conclusion, and so interesting to meet someone that was setting up a retail bank, and the knowledge that £10 million is just the license fee to operate as a bank in the UK, and then he needed another 50 million, and those are the things that you need to have your own bank, it seems. Anyway, hope everyone is well, and no doubt we'll speak again. So I'm just walking back, and all I can hear is bird song and all kinds of noises. And if I'm quiet for a moment, maybe you can hear them as well. Isn't it lovely? Nature. And the other evening, a creature walked across the floor and jumped onto the windowsill. I thought it was the cat, but then it flew off, and I thought that the cat might have jumped off the windowsill and it might have hurt himself, but it must have been a bird. And yeah, you can imagine the shock of a creature walking across your floor and then disappearing from your window. Anyway, I'll say goodbye there.